The Flying Dutchman. This is a story of a vessel, one that is the most famous and feared worldwide, better known as the Ghost Ship. Remember the episode from Scooby-Doo, Go Away Ghost Ship, or the Black Pearl from Pirates of the Caribbean? Well, what if we tell you the story of this one is quite similar to that of Scooby-Doo, only this time the ghosts are real. Ghost ships are invariably as scary as they sound. The Flying Dutchman has been seen in the most frequented ocean by countless vessels for over 3 centuries now. Grab your seatbelts, because if you're watching this, you've entered into the world of myths and legends of ghost ships, where today we'll be discussing a mainstay of maritime lore, a ghost ship that is doomed to sail the ocean. Just giving a heads up, it's going to be quite scary, as the story of Flying Dutchman is one that intensifies the aspect of scariness and eeriness. Before this, if you're new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell icon, because we give you content that you'll never find elsewhere. So don't waste time, hit the bell icon, and let's get started with our scary maritime story. The story of the Flying Dutchman has been narrated by sailors since the 18th century. They have been informed that while working on their duties, they happened to see a ship aimlessly sailing across the body of water. The story of this vessel revolves around a European ship that was doomed to sail the sea for an eternity. And if you manage to see it somehow, you've got to be doomed. This is how the story goes. It all started in 1641, when a Dutch ship set off somewhere through the North Sea or the coast of the Cape of Good Hope, where it was condemned to sail that coast for the rest of its life. The man in charge of the ship was Captain Hendrik van der Decken, known as the proud and arrogant sea captain of the East Indies, who loved gambling his life and soul for traveling. On the other hand, some people state that he had offered his soul to the devil in exchange for the fastest vessel to have navigated the ocean, and his wish was granted. No vessel could sail faster than this. The ship of the reckless captain was so fast that it could break the winds. Now, we don't know which part of the story is true. Some say that the last statement by the captain brought about the ghostly plight of the vessel to sail the sea forever. Others claim that there was a fight between the captain and the other members of the crew in view of the captains, which led them to murder their rebellion leader. As the body of the captain floated on the surface of the ocean, the ship spoke to him about his pressed decision, to which he replied that he would be attempting to reach his destination till the Day of Judgment, which led to the fate of the Flying Dutchman to sail for an eternity with a crew of dead men. Nevertheless, whatever it is, the one thing that is sure about this is the horror that is associated with the story. The captain and crew were sailing their way back to Europe by passing through the Cape of Good Hope in South Africa. The Cape is considered to be a very dangerous place, where the freezing water from the Arctics converges with the warm water of the tropics, forming storms that no sailor with the right mind would ever traverse. The captain wanted to take a rest from the tumultuous water that slowed them down. After some time, he failed to notice a huge storm that surrounded them, and when he realized, he had already sailed straight into a fierce storm. Waves hit the ship and threatened to capsize it. The captain, along with his crew, tried very hard to battle the storm, but the wind ripped the same. Meanwhile, the captain, who was inside his cabin, wondered, "What can be the reason for this sea tormenting me?" He also questioned himself, saying, "Haven't I given the devil what all men cherish, the most in exchange for the power that will never let his powerful enemies or elements surpass him?" The captain took a silver crucifix that was hanging over his bed and stood near a table that was pondering the waves. He held it in his hands so tightly that his palms began to bleed. In his extreme anger, the captain said, "Are you punishing me for giving your soul to your rival? Is the way you are challenging and humiliating me to prove that you're supreme and that I must submit to your will, when the only thing I want is to go back home? Let me continue my journey. Leave me and my crew alone. I have the right to make deals with whoever my soul desires." The mast broke from the strike of the sea, and at one point it seemed that they had finally succeeded. But after some time, they heard the sickening crunch of a ship breaking into pieces after hitting treacherous rocks. As a result, the ship starts sinking. The waves flooded his vessel, which could barely stand afloat, which made Captain van der Decken realize that they were on the verge of their death. Right at that moment, he saw his crew members getting drowned. He went to the helm, lifted his crucifix to the sky, and said, "You'll be unable to stop me. I am the Lord of the seas, and even the devil himself fears me. No storm, god, or demon shall stop me." He then threw the crucifix into the sea and laughed mockingly to tell God that he couldn't stop him from going to the Netherlands. He would conquer the storm at any cost. Right at that moment, he screamed at the top of his voice, "I will round this cape, even if I have to keep sailing until the end of time." After some time from the stormy cloud, a gap opened that emitted a warm, bright, and sacred light. A mighty celestial voice spoke through it and said firmly, "Your blasphemy and arrogance are indescribable. From now on, you will be attached to what you wrongly believe. Think about it. You shall sail the ocean as pensions, restless, and without a destination. You will not have a moment of peace. The coldness of the storm will eternally be part of your flesh, and there will be no food, no drink that will calm your hunger and thirst. So it will be until doomsday." As soon as the majestic voice disappeared, the water of the sea became calm, as well as the intensity of the wind was lowered. A bright sun, which was hidden for several days behind the clouds, started to rise. There was a strange feeling of calmness everywhere, which frightened the crew as well as Van der Decker, who was terrified about the heavenly warnings of God. Nevertheless, with fear in their heart, they continued their journey without much hardship. And when they finally had a glance at the port of Amsterdam on the horizon, they started heading towards it. But they realized that despite the ship making a fast movement and the clear sky allowing their smooth journey, the closer they reached, the distance seemed to get further. Decker himself could see the port, but it would arbitrarily get away as if the sea would grow larger between the vessel and the coast. At that moment, something resonated in the captain's mind. The words said by God, saying, "You shall sail restless, without a destination." Anxiety struck him. He knew that he had challenged God, and now the sentence against him is slowly coming true. Years passed and turned into decades and turned into centuries. The entire crew remained floating in the vessel. Slowly, the entire crew died, followed by their captain. They weren't able to abandon the sea because of their cursed soul, even after their bodies perished. And this is how the story of the Flying Dutchman unravels. In recent times, people have been giving scientific explanations about how even after centuries, the Flying Dutchman still exists. What is happening? While many blindly believed the ghost story, some people gave logical explanations. They referred to the sight of the ship as something like a superior mirage known as Fata Morgana. Scientists explain it as a natural optical phenomena that occurs when the moisture in the air and other atmospheric conditions combine to form certain lights that trick our eyes to make them appear like an object. And thus, this illusion at sea sometimes makes a ship that is beyond our naked eyes to appear as some ghostly vessel. Despite the logical explanation, many still stick to their decision of thinking it to be a ghost ship. Some say that it can be a ship of pirates acting like a ghost ship to raise terror and loot other ships. Since the folklore of the Flying Dutchman cannot be overruled, the skippers of the pirate vessel can take advantage of the situation, disguised as centuries-old ghost vessels rather than an actual ghost ship itself. What do you think? Would you rather believe in the scientific logic of the people or think that ghost ships exist? Let us know your opinions in the comments section below. Also, if you like this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Also, don't forget to hit the notification bell for the latest updates on existing topics.